Childhood, a time of fun and freedom before we shoulder the cares of adulthood. However, all is not what it seems here. This festival is for young people who are already shouldering adult burdens. Every one of these young people here is a carer, for mothers, fathers, siblings, sometimes all of these.
I'm 16, this shouldn't be happening to a 16-year-old.
I can't break down and cry in front of them because I've done that once and they break down and cry.
It's got a lot to cram into my life and not a lot of freedom.
Their caring role can have a huge impact on their education.
A lot of the kids, they're at school, they'll arrive late or they'll miss school because of their personal circumstances.
There are 1,600 children gathered here today, less than 1% of the estimated number of young carers across the country.
The recent census in 2001 actually identified 175,000 young carers caring across the UK, but we do recognise that this is probably the tip of the iceberg.
To find out some of the problems these children can face, both in school and elsewhere, this programme offers a revealing insight into the lives of 3 young carers.
I'm Sarah Jane. I come from the Isle of Sheppey, which is in Kent. I'm 16 years old and I go to Minster College. I've just left and hopefully going there for my A-levels.
That's okay.
I've been a young carer since basically I could walk.
Nicely.
My mum has cerebral palsy, which means that she's basically always needing care.
So did you enjoy the concert? Wasn't too bad, I really enjoyed it.
In my childhood, it means I've had to grow up pretty quickly, so I haven't missed out on much because Mum and Dad have always let me kind of have some social stuff and that. But I do think that I have had to grow up more than my friends have had to, and I've matured more quickly. And also I think that I've got a better aspect on life as well. Never think of somebody in one way because I always think, well, they might actually have a situation.
All right.
You all right?
Good. And what time are you off today?
About 10 minutes.
10.
If Mum wakes up in time, because obviously I get up really early for the trains and stuff, I help get her dressed, get her breakfast, help Dad with stuff and that, and then just get ready for college, go to college, come back. Help Dad if Mum falls over, give Mum a bath, shower, take her out if she wants to go out, help with the dinner and stuff, housework as well.
We got married 22 years ago, and parental advice was not to have children, but after 5 years we said no, we want children. So along came Sarah Jane, and Sarah Jane has been looking after her mum or helping her mum ever since she could walk and talk, really, helping her on with her shoes when she was younger and what have you. And it's progressed from there. Me, I had Crohn's disease when I was in the Navy, when I was 19. I've had 2 operations to remove parts of the small intestine. And the medication from that caused kidney failure, which meant in 2000 I had to go on to dialysis, and then 2 years later I got a successful kidney transplant.
I don't really know what it's like to have someone else there with me helping care 24/7, but being an only child I think does have its difficulties. You can, with 2 people or 3, you can share the responsibilities and maybe have a rota, whereas it's mainly just me doing it obviously, and just one person lifting up my mum because Dad can't, and that if my mum falls over and stuff. I mean, I still get people in the street kind of look at you funny and stuff, and you realise what they're thinking about. But mainly when I was at primary school and middle school it happened, it's they pick on you because they think you're different for caring for somebody who's different, and it's they're bullying your parent through you, which means they're obviously bullying you as well. Well, that's what I found anyway. And it hurts so much to have it happen, and it obviously hurts the parents too, or brothers and sisters or whoever it affects. But as I grew older, it kind of died away. I think I've learnt to grow up and accept it and realise that people just don't understand. They may be scared of that someone's different than them, but, you know, they have to grow up. We're not the ones to grow up.
Especially when Sarah Jane was younger, people picked on her at school because she had a disabled mum, which seemed to, when the Young Carers initiative started, that seemed to sort of help Sarah Jane get over those problems. She can go, you know, if there's something she can't tell us, then, or she needs professional advice on something, especially on lifting and handling and things like that. I mean, one of the things is, you know, having to pick up her mum from a young age. She has sort of like done her back in a number of times.
We take young carers on anywhere from the age of 5 up to the age of 18. We've even had referrals made to us for children as young as 3. During the summer holidays we run day activities. We've also got our own camping equipment. The kids love that. You know, it's just sort of doing normal childhood things. You know, we major a lot on restoring their lost childhood. And then during the school term times we have 2 weekly support groups. One's in Sittingbourne and one's in Sheerness.
I've been going to Young Carers Group for years now. I think I was in primary school when I started going to Young Carers Group. And it's so important to my life, it's unbelievable. I mean, I was one of the first on the Swell Young Carers project, and I've seen it grow and stuff, and it's amazing to see other people that are in the same situation as you, and you can help each other along, and it's someone to talk to that understands what you're going through, and it's so much more easier than talking to someone who doesn't understand. We've
got a total of 18 volunteers that help with the support groups and activities, and some of those are specially trained that they can be assigned to a child with particular additional needs, particularly if it's a child, you know, in a single parent family, so they've got no adult role model, they've got no listening ear, no one to support and to bounce ideas from. And that's been really successful. From that we've had young carers that have gone on to further education or that have accessed jobs which otherwise, you know, they just wouldn't have done. They would have just sort of dropped out of society, really. We've contacted every school in the area, of which there's 74 in Swale, and we've contacted them all. And a couple of schools are gradually letting us in and we're sort of forming relationships with them. But one of the colleges in the area, when we contacted them, we were told sort of by their head teacher that we haven't got any young carers here. And we said, well, sorry, you know, but we know of 9 that are registered within our project, and that's without us knowing the other children that are in your school.
Other people I know have actually had some academic problems where the school doesn't understand and tells them off for not being able to come in, whereas I've always tried to always go into school, and Mum and Dad have pushed me towards that. I've always made sure my teachers know as well that I'm a young carer and know that sometimes I have to take my responsibilities for my parents first before my education. And I have trouble sometimes with homework and stuff because, like, I don't always find the time to do it. And I know sometimes situations where Dad's had to write letters in saying I've been caring and stuff and I haven't had time to do it. But my teacher has been pretty relaxed, and I think I'm one of the lucky ones that actually have a relaxed education being a young carer.
Children's ministers from the 2 main opposition parties. We have our representative from the Office of the Children's Commissioner and a young carer from Telford who's actually been going across the globe to try and spread the word about young caring. If you want to be here, now is the time to get here. We've moved the whole thing into the coffee tent so you can get some shade, and if that's an appealing prospect, come in. Some debate as well about what it is that can be done to help young carers. If you have a question for any of the VIPs here, or you just like to come...
This festival is so important because it gives the young people a chance to chill out, gain new experiences, meet old friends and new friends, but to know that they're not alone. And also, as you can see, we have the opportunity to have media on site to talk to ourselves and to the young people. And then we take the messages that the young people give us all weekend in the Children's Society Voice Zone back to policy makers, directly to Parliament, directly to the Children's Commissioner, back to the DFES.
Needs and requirements of young carers to be put into legislation.
We want to influence agencies that work with young people to recognise that their needs need to be supported across all agencies. Most importantly for education in schools is that teachers are the first point of contact for these pupils. And we are asking schools if they could think of sensitive ways to identify these young people so that they feel able to come forward and ask for support. Young people tell us that their education is often affected and that teachers don't understand, but equally they say that they don't really want the schools to know because they don't want to be treated differently. So this is a really difficult situation for the teachers.
And as far as Parliament's concerned, we have a new early day motion calling for the duty on education.
One of the things we recommend is that perhaps the schools develop a schools notice board. So if the young person doesn't want to be publicly identified, at least they can see whether support for young carers on the notice board. Other things that we suggest is maybe a schools drop-in club, recognising that if the young people are late in the mornings or behind in the coursework, to try and find out the reason. Young carers will often make up all sorts of excuses apart from actually telling the real one.
I'm Gemma and I'm 14. I go to Chamberlain Park and we have our own little young carers group there because there's many young carers in our school, and it helps us quite a lot.
Chamberlain Park School in Southampton has been running a young carers group for 4 years.
Right, other notices. Young Carers Cooking Club is Thursday the 12th. Let's move on then. Chloe's first meeting was last week, so we haven't all met Chloe, have we? No. Chloe is unfortunately Ashley's sister, so we have to give a lot of sympathy.
It's good for us because we can speak to teachers, we can go and speak to him, and we can ring home if we need to. So the school is pretty supportive of young carers. Well, it's pretty good because it's all confidential and it gives us time away.
Good news is my friend's birthday, and bad news is there is none.
Very good.
There's more young carers in the school than anyone knows. Like, I represent Year 10 at the moment as a young carer. And there's people in Year 8, Year 7, Year 9, Year 11, everywhere in this whole entire school. There's at least a young carer in your class.
My good news is that I passed all my 1-star in Army Cadets on my camp and I got a sniper badge from shooting. And my bad news is I've really hurt my back.
Gemma and her elder brother Ian are left to look after their 2 younger sisters because their father cares for their mother, who suffers from bipolar disorder.
Started off as like a postnatal depression, but we didn't realise anything was actually happening until I got home one day to find that she had actually taken an overdose. It was a apparent suicide attempt. I then had to give up work to actually start looking after her, otherwise the children was going to be removed from the house and then Damon family was more important.
Their mum's condition involves a cycle of mood changes, combining severe depression with manic episodes.
My nan finally told me and I goes, well, why did I have to get out my nan? Why couldn't my parents tell me? But like, they're like, she cut herself sewing. I really doubt that. But like a few times, like when I wasn't used to her having her anaphylactic shots, I'd run and hide in the back garden. You'd see me like all like curled up in the corner, crying or something like that. So it is quite hard.
Part of the illness is taking too many tablets, overdosing, which obviously could kill her that way, or another time is she will cut herself. She does self-harming. And sometimes like, the kids are here with that and they actually have to help. And if need be, make the phone call to get an ambulance down to help.
It's not a shock because you know it's going to happen soon enough because she hasn't been ill for a bit, so you know she's going to be ill soon.
As the eldest, Gemma's brother Ian helped look after his mother, as well as the younger children.
And whenever she goes ill, I just think, OK, it's happened, right, let's really look battle stations, you know. Let's look after the little ones, do everything that Mum used to do. Just try and cope without her. It's one of those things now, because it's happened so often.
I don't know the sound of this. I'm going to have to meet this boy, and I.
Nope.
Yeah.
When Mum's ill, as she's at home before she goes off to the hospital, it's kind of like this. We wake up in the morning, we make sure that Mum's all right, just in case she's done something over the night, got even worse. I go off to college, little ones go off to school. And then when I come home from school, it's kind of like look after Mum, make sure that she's okay, do anything that she needs doing, which she can't really do, and keep an eye on the little ones.
You got to put all your problems, all your stress, all your worries, all your anger away and just concentrating on my mum and accepting what's going on, looking after my sisters and just staying out of her way. And when she's taking her anger at me, shouting at me, swearing at me, like sometimes maybe like slapping me for no reason, I've got to just accept it and just sit there and let her do it or walk off, and I can't do anything back.
What they have to do is really stop being kids. Sometimes like they can't go out because we need them to help look after the two little ones, while most of the concern is taken up with the mum. They also have to like stay out the way, keep quiet, try not to argue, make allowances for their mum's temper or snapping. Basically like hide in one sense.
Where can we get a home? What animals are they?
Guinea pigs. We like this hut. We can run in here and we can hide in here.
Oh, when my mum's here, all of my time's devoted to the family. Like people say, "You coming out?" I could say no, and I'd make an excuse. I'd take my sisters everywhere, to the shop, to the park, out. I'd have to do anything that they want to do. I'd got to do anything to keep them out of my mum's way.
Hi. Since I'm there, they all look up to me. Like, I feel that I can like break down and cry in front of them because I've done that once, and they break down and cry. I got to kind of stay strong, just like Dad. Really, it's hard, but it's also good.
Can I have a hug?
Okay.
Pick me up first.
Oh, you're so lazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Outside, like when I'm out playing, people see me as a kid now, but they don't see me when I walk into my front door. So they think, "Oh, you're fine. You do have a childhood. You get to play games with and everything like that." But what they don't know is when they go in, they can go and do whatever they want. I go in, I gotta cook, I clean up and stuff like that. I look after my mum, so I've only got a few hours out. So I try and live that as much as I can.
Kids can be nasty anyway, and if they find out that you're a carer for your parent because your parent's got an illness, especially if it's a mental health illness, because it's still such a taboo subject, it's just more ammunition for them to further the bullying.
You get like every now and then someone going, "Oh, your mum's fat, mental, psycho, suicidal, whatever." And like last year I had someone go, "Oh, at least my mum can look after her kids, unlike your mum."
Now, you've got two halves. Does anyone remember to bring their script with them? No. Wow, Ashley, you should get a prize for that.
They've had projects, focuses for each year, and they were quite keen to raise the awareness of other teachers in the school, because obviously we've had new staff come into the school in September. So we talked about different approaches, and the deputy head said that we could have some time after school before people's meetings to just present a bit of a background about what they're doing at home and things.
We invited you here to tell you about who we are and what we stand for.
The Year 9 player is going to tell you about our life outside school.
Some of them previously didn't really want staff to know who they were. They didn't want staff to know their background, whereas now their confidence is increased by coming to the group. They're more happy to share.
Why are you late? I've been at home all day on my own. I'm hungry and I need another pillow.
Have I got time to do my phone sharing work? I'll get detention if I don't do it.
You won't get a detention because you're looking after me.
Can I have a note then?
No, because my hand's hurting.
Can you use the phone then?
The phone's not working. We've been cut off because we missed the bill.
I think it's very helpful to have a teacher running the group, because a lot of the issues that the young carers have relate directly to teaching and learning, and the role of the young carer has a big impact on their own learning, in their homework, but also on their approach to classwork. And every child has to be emotionally stable to actually do well in school.
Ian's done very well with his exam results. Gemma's grades are up and down, but then there is issues in the school about it. It can affect their actual education side, and the way their behaviour is. So like at school, if they're getting into trouble a lot or mucking around in classes because of, you know, pent-up rage or whatever.
That is the end. Let's go.
You're trying to do right, but all you think about is, all I'm thinking about is my mum. And or like I muck about lessons because it's my chance to be a child, to have my freedom. So I try to be like a kid, but all the time I think about my mum. I'm also getting bullied and trying to do my work. It's got a lot to cram into my life and not a lot of freedom.
Dare to be different, dare to be wonderful.
When I go back to my room, I get stressed, I swear, I say I hate her, I walk out, I hit things, I throw things, I damage things, I just say I hate her.
I was at first angry with Mum, like why did that have to happen? Why us and all that? And then I've kind of got used to it. It's just one of those things. It's not her fault. It's not anyone's fault really.
Most of my childhood's been taken away from this. I've just got to think, sure, it should be better in about a week. You'll be alright, you'll be alright. Then I'll have a few weeks or maybe a few months where I could be a kid again.
Sometimes actually, quite a lot. I think like, oh no, this isn't fair by me because like I'm 16, this shouldn't be happening to a 16-year-old and stuff. And it's just, I don't really always want to be caring. But I have to and I will do because it's basically I like doing it. I might hate it, but I like it. Basically because I love them. My faith is important, yeah. It has helped me survive in a way. With my parents having their faith too, it's kind of like a foundation for me. I love my singing. I love singing. It's like my passion. It's just so relaxing, enjoyable. I don't know, it's like a calm and you can escape into it and feel the music and the words and sing it how you want it and put your own personality into it and it's great.
Jesus Christ, you are the Son of God.
It's just, I tell you what I like singing with people because you get to relax more and have fun and smile and laugh. And it's like you're working together as a team. But I think solos are great too because like you're showing off basically. But I don't like showing off, so I don't know why I said that.
Showing off is probably the last thing young carers want to do. Their dream is to have as normal a childhood as possible despite their circumstances. This can only happen if their problems are known and understood.
Awareness needs to be a bigger issue. More awareness of young carers will be helpful, you know, telling people not just about young carers but about disabilities as well, because people know more now that there are young carers and they know obviously that there is a problem with young carers being there and stuff, but behind the young carer is obviously the person who's disabled.
In a lot of respects, teachers, you know, are there to teach, and this sort of support is a very different approach to the needs of the children. I mean, I'm doing this because I think it's important, but it doesn't come under the direct contract of the teacher, you know, it's something extra.
There's some amazingly good practice out in schools, but I do recognise that teachers are very busy people, have a lot of demands put on them, and there are still a lot of gaps in practice.
Teachers tend to think, you know, little Jimmy in the back of the class, he's asleep, he's a pain or whatever, and, you know, he's just not performing well at school. Whereas, you know, very often if you can identify that they're a young carer, they just need a small element of help within school and just that bit of understanding. You know, access to the phone at lunchtime to check that mum is okay and things like that. And it can make such a big difference to them.
And texting my mum, she's alright, I'm alright, I was all good about that. It makes me smile when I get a text from her, so it's all good. So, yeah.
We have only dipped into the lives of our 3 young carers, but their caring goes on, day in, day out. as their video diaries show.
Well, I bought some chocolates and I bought her some magazines so she can keep up what's going on TV and that.
Sometimes to actually give Mum a bath, you actually have to get into the bath with her because it is so awkward, and with my back being the way it is, it hurts.
I took Alice to a little club and bring her back, and I went up to a bigger club with her as well, and I took her back after that, so I really had some sister time.
Alice and Leah had to, well, were messing around, so we had to go within an hour and then like that because I didn't get to see much of Mum. I was pretty upset, but...
Doing a video diary seems to make me more aware of actually what I get up to as a young carer, and more I make more notices of what I actually do, whereas usually it's just a subconscious thing that I don't really realise that I'm doing.
Stories like Gemma's, Ian's and Sarah Jane's are repeated in tens of thousands of homes across the country. The chances are that in every classroom, in every school, there is a young carer.
I'm 13 and my name's Darren.
My name's Chris and I'm 13 years old.
My name's Amy and I'm 12.
My name's Rob and I'm 14.
I'm Ashley and I'm 13 years old.
I'm Chloe and I'm 11.